right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm Adam Smith with Core Finance Group and Just the Tips Coaching, and with me, as usual, is our Marketing Director, Jen Wayboer. Good morning, Jen. And we have a very special guest this week. We're very excited to have on the show with us Matt Thomson. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me along.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. We've obviously had this one on the books for some time, and we're excited to have you here. So, let's jump right in. Matt, give us a little bit of background on you, what you do, how you got to this place, how you decided to get into real estate. And if memory serves, you're also in the South Metro Denver area. I think even living just down the road in Ken Carl here.
Correct. Yep. So my family and I moved to Ken Carroll about 6 years ago from the Seattle area. And I guess kind of backtracking into my history, I was a sixth grade math teacher for 7 years, and then about 16 years ago, I decided to jump into the real estate industry full time, and initially had joined a team at Keller Williams and worked there for about a year and a half before jumping out on my own. Was able to develop a pretty successful relationship and business, and then ironically, when the market crashed there in Seattle in kind of late 07, early 08 is when my business really took off. I was able to use that downturn as an opportunity to grab some market share, was able to buy a Keller Williams franchise, did well with that for a while, moved out to Keller Williams, worked there for about a year and a half, a leadership position in the Keller Williams Highlands Ranch office, and then a little over 2 years ago, transitioned away from Keller and took a lot of the great things that I learned there and helped kind of relaunch Fathom Colorado, and have been doing that for 2 years. And so I'm a practicing agent. I'm a state broker for a little over 100 agents, and do a lot of training and coaching as well.
Okay. And give us, and that's fantastic because the information there is going to pay dividends for our audience for sure, for those watching live as well as in syndication. So give us some idea of when you started out, what were really great tips and techniques and tactics that you were using to basically get into real estate, to generate leads, to let people know that you were involved in real estate. How did it start off for you that way?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's I started on a team, which even 15 years ago, Keller was really pushing the team model, and I was fortunate enough to have landed on a team. The guy who started a website that I don't know how many people remember, it was called housevalues.com. It was kind of the pre-Zillow. The founder of that was my team lead, and so I was basically just handed probably about 100 to 120 leads a week for people that were looking to get a market analysis on their house, and just ran it from there. And when you have that kind of volume of leads, it's not difficult to be successful. If you think back, even then, we were probably at a 1.5–2% conversion on those. So I was selling a lot of homes, but I don't think that I was learning the business at all. And so then when I went out on my own about a year and a half, 2 years later, it was kind of restarting because nobody knew who Matt Thomson was. They just knew the Compass team with Keller Williams. And so it was really restarting. And at that point is when I jumped into what I still prefer, which is kind of an organic form of lead generation, which is, for lack of a better term, I literally get involved everywhere that I possibly can with HOAs, Chamber of Commerce, any other business. I don't do like BNI or business networking groups. I don't really believe in paying for leads. Um,
I see Jen smiling. She loves that answer. Neither do we.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it doesn't work. It's risky, and it's not how I want to do business. And so, like, for example, when we moved to Colorado, literally did not know a soul in the state of Colorado other than the other owners at the Keller Williams office that I was joining. So I had to reestablish and really test and say, okay, there's all these things that I teach, all these things that I feel, do they work? And so even though we were just renting our house, because we thought we were only going to be here for a year, and then go back to Seattle, and it ended up being 6 years we've been here, and we love it, so we're not moving. But I jumped on the HOA board here for Ken Carroll immediately as a renter. I was the only guy on my daughter's elementary school PTA. My wife and I decided to coach my daughter's soccer team, even though neither of us know a thing about soccer. We figured they're kindergartners, so how hard could it be?
And they just run around in a little clump around the ball.
It really is, and it's can we be present that way? Sure. And even today, I'm kind of the team dad for my oldest daughter's horseback riding team. She does the Western Airs precision riding team, and I'm the team dad. I've never been on a horse. I don't know anything about horses, but I fully believe in getting involved in the communities that you're handed. A, to serve the community, and B, to leverage that for business. So that's kind of how I started running things as soon as I left the team element, and it's been pretty successful for the last 14 years.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And we certainly wholeheartedly believe in it. I think there's even a page out of my book about how you need to get involved both in person as well as electronically in your neighborhood. Neighborhood groups, schools, sports teams, HOAs, on and on. Does some of that translate for you into an electronic arena?
It does, yeah, and I think that's one of the best blessings that I had, and then one of the biggest mistakes that I made in real estate was the electronic world. When our market crashed in Seattle, all of a sudden my business just went to nothing, and I had to figure out in a hurry, how do I build this back up? And we got a copy of Realtor magazine, and on the cover was a gal named Teresa Boardman, who was with Keller Williams in Minneapolis at the time. She's since moved on to her own brokerage. And it just said the 2007 Blogger of the Year was the title. And I called her up, said, I'm Matt Thomson with Keller Williams in Seattle. Congratulations. What's a blogger? And I'd never heard of blogging before. And she kind of agreed to, she introduced me to a network of blogs that she was a part of, and kind of unofficially coached me on how to get into that. So I started writing a blog, which really, at that time, gave me a ton of search engine presence. I think there were 50 to 55 search terms in this little town of Gig Harbor, Washington, that I was from, where I was number one, page one on parks, schools, events, restaurants, all these different things. And then social media kicked in I don't know if it kicked in. I found it a couple years later. It may have already been going. So I jumped onto Twitter, I jumped onto Facebook, I jumped onto LinkedIn, and kind of just started posting my blog to that. And that continues today. The blog, I think I've let go of a little bit. Apps seem to have hurt the relevancy of search engine optimization a little bit. But the presence of, we've got a neighborhood Facebook group with 1,200 local residents on it, and I'm super active in that. We have a Western Airs photo sharing page. I'm posting pictures to that. I don't do Nextdoor just because I think it's a little bit busy right now in our area, but I know a lot of agents are doing that successfully. LinkedIn and Twitter, I'm engaging people on there, and it's that's an element that I have found can either A, get your foot in the door so that you can meet people in person, or B, once you've met them in person, it can cement that relationship and keep you top of mind. So I think it's critical to do both. And the mistake that I think I made was I got so good at the blogging, and I had such a great search engine optimization or search engine presence, I stopped meeting people in person, and my business kind of started going back on the downside. and I couldn't figure it out for a while because I had 11,000 unique visitors a month on my website, hitting my blog. I was all over the place. The city of Gig Harbor asked if they could use my blog as their city page because I was outdoing them, and I wasn't selling any homes. And my coach said, well, how many of these people are you meeting in person? None. I was spending all my time blogging about them. And so my coach at that time said, you need to take at least 2 people a week that you meet online and go meet with them in person. So I did some other things around that, and that really made a huge difference in my business.
There are a few things in that commentary that I really want for our audience to pick up on. One, and I can't attest to the timeline as to whether or not it is still as relevant as it was. Jen has met a colleague of mine out of LA by the name of Shashank Shakar, who basically started his ridiculously voluminous business in the he's a mortgage originator in the same manner by doing that kind of blogging, and it did pay dividends at first, but obviously he just like you had to make some kind of a shift, and I can't say that it's as relevant today, certainly not in that format as it was, but it does carry some weight, there's no question. I do want for the audience to pick up on something that you said that I think is of significant importance that a lot of us miss out on. You just picked up the phone, called this woman in Minnesota, I believe you said.
Yep.
And she was, excuse me, more than willing to help you understand what that blog was, what it looked like, what the structure of it was. Here's an individual, for those of you watching, with an abundance mindset. She's willing to help a colleague, someone in her arena, her brethren, with their business. She never once had a fleeting thought that I'm not going to share what I know because there's not enough business to go around. There is more than enough business to go around, and her abundance mindset speaks volumes to that. A lot of you still operate in a scarcity mindset that you don't want to help your colleagues, your coworkers, your fellow agents, your the other salespeople on your car lot, whatever the case may be, because you fear them taking business away from you. And if you're really, really good at what you do, including helping other people learn what you do, then it's going to improve your business, not cost you business, I assure you. So for those of you watching, really pick up on that, because that's a big, big piece of the puzzle. The most successful people help other people in their arena be successful. There's just no two ways about it.
Adam. Because I can hear a lot of people going, well, yeah, but she was in Minnesota, you're in Seattle, so it's not the same. I teach a lot of CE classes that I've written.
Oh, Matt, you're not in Seattle.
No, I'm in Denver now. I was in Seattle at the time, and so the people that I teach around here, almost every time I teach a CE class or one of my other classes, I teach a class called blogging and social media for your real estate business. I teach that at some different title companies around Denver, and every single time people say, "Why do you share this stuff?" And the kind of multiple part answers. One, exactly what you just said. There's plenty of business to go around. There's no shortage. There were 53,000 sales in RA, Colorado, so 106,000 sides. I want 30 to 50 of them. If I can't get 30 to 50 out of 106,000, something's wrong with what I'm doing elsewhere. And then the second part of it, I think Teresa had this mindset too. When I share, when I teach, the people that I'm teaching, they're either going to not implement what I teach. They're just going to go, that was a great class, and go on and do what they always have been doing, so I don't need to worry about them. Or they're going to take what I have been doing and they're going to improve on it, and they're going to come back to me and go, hey, I took your class and I started doing this, and this is what it's done for me. So a lot of the things that I've adapted over the years are because I've shared, and the people that I've shared with have come and shared back with me. So there isn't a downside to helping other people. You're not, if you're worried about losing your business because you're sharing, then you're not treating your people correctly.
Or your business.
Or your business. That's a great point.
And there was a third point in there that I really wanted to emphasize. And we're actually having a colleague of ours come and speak at our mastermind event for our coaching clients next month on essentially throwing a lot of the technology out of the window, getting back to a point where we're actually doing the things that Matt is doing for those of you watching. Make contacts, build your contact database, establish relationships, make friends. These things turn into clients and transactions and closings and referrals and snowballs from there. And there is something to be said for throwing the technological aspect out the window and really building relationships. This is something that's very important in any sales aspect. For those of you watching, I don't care if you're in real estate or mortgages or car sales or insurance, financial planning, whatever the case may be, this is a building block still in the modern era to having a successful practice. So, Matt, thank you for interjecting that as well. Okay, so give us some insight as to what you're doing these days, how your team looks, what kind of lead gen goes on in there, furthering that relationship building, that repeat and referral business, again, that zero cost mindset. I assume you're buying Zillow leads by the pound.
Yeah, it's funny. When you get on and you see the realtor angst towards Zillow, it's a way of generating leads that works. It's expensive, it's risky, it's costly. It's, to me, brain damage.
It's no fun.
Yeah, and it works for some people. We've got some people that work in my company that's what they do. They're afraid of working with their sphere. They're uncomfortable working with their friends. They don't like to talk to people in person, so they use online leads, and that's fantastic. It's just not anything that I would ever want to do. So I've got a different model of a team. I think that was one of the first disconnects that I had with my previous brokerage, was this whole mindset of you've got a team lead, then you've got an admin, then you've got a buyer's agent, then a listing specialist, then a showing, you build this team. And I started watching a lot of people do that either out of order or way too early. And we had people, when I was running what they call the team leader at that office, we had 6-7 person teams doing 25, 30 transactions a year. And I remember looking at that going, how is anybody making money? It just, teams, and certainly not the case across the board, but a lot of teams were built because the team lead didn't want to do lead generation. And they said, well, I'll just bring a buyer's agent on and they can do the lead generation for me. Or I'll bring an ISA, an inside sales assistant on, and they can do the lead. Until you are maxed out and you can't do anything else on your own, you don't have any business building a team. And I have discovered personally, I love training, I love coaching, I enjoy running an office, being a state broker, managing broker. Selling real estate to me is still, it's the best paying element of all of those. And B, I like having my foot in the door a little bit so I understand the market. But realistically, if I can do 20 to 25 transactions a year, make $250,000 to $300,000 a year on sales, I'm good with that. I don't need to do more, and there's no way that I can't do that on my own. So I'm a solo agent, but I still have the Matt Thomson home team, and that team includes my home inspector, my title company, my plumber, my handyman, my structural engineer, my roofer, my financial planner, and I don't want to say I've trained them, but I've talked to them, and we do training about when those people are working with my clients, they don't pick up the phone and say, hi, I'm Jim with XYZ Roofing. It's, hi, I'm Jim with the Matt Thomson home team and XYZ Roofing. Matt asked me to give you a call. People don't like to be passed around. They don't want to say, well, go call a lender. I'm going to have the finance person on my team give you a call. And, well, you need to go ask title for that. Let me have the title specialist on my team give you a call. And then they can pick up the phone. This is Sandra with First Integrity Title, Matt Thomson home team. Matt asked me to give you a call. And it keeps everything. Now, I'm not paying any of them a salary. They're all independent. They're all working with other agents. I'm only providing 20 transactions a year. That's not great business for a lender or a title rep or anything like that. But they are part of my team, so my clients feel like everything is still in-house. And then I've even given my inspector, my roofer, they have, I went on to Vistaprint and made little business cards, their business card on the front with my logo on the back, that they just hand out to my people. I don't expect them to hand those out to anybody else. I don't want them to be advertising themselves as part of my team, but when they work with my people, I want them to have that business card with my logo on it so my people can associate that. So that's how my team is structured. It is just me and then a bunch of other people in the industry that I know how they work, they know how I work, and I support their business and they support my business.
So it would be really rare for me to share this particular nugget, but the sales psychology demands it, and what you've said here demands it. But for those of you watching, and maybe this will pay dividends for you as well, Matt, every single call or email that originates from my office on behalf of anything related to a transaction always begins with Adam asked me. Adam asked me to call. Adam asked me to send you an email. Adam asked me to check in, whatever the case may be, so that there is that gel, that congealment, if you will, of that team concept. They all know right from the get-go that this is somebody that works with Adam, that represents Adam, that works for Adam in a lot of cases, and certainly there's no reason that you guys watching can't extend that to your plumber, your lender, your title company, if you're in financial planning, the people in your office, the people that work for the life insurance companies that you're selling, the nurse that's going to go do that physical, the finance guy at your car dealership, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of opportunity just by using some really simple tools and techniques and tactics to continue the bond that your client, your customer has with you in that sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's really, really a big one. All right, so what do you see going forward, Matt? What are you going to do in 2020, 2021 in the lead gen, team building, social media, live video show arenas to further your business, to further those relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question. You mentioned video and live video. I don't know how many years in a row that's been on my business plan, and how many years in a row I've pushed that out of the way for all the same fears of video that so many people have.
Well, you're here now.
And I'm here now, and I did a Fathom Live for our corporate last week, and so I'm absolutely trying to be intentional about doing a lot more video because I fully believe that that's where, and it's not like this is new news to anybody watching this, that's where everything on the internet is going. Static websites have run their course for the most part. They're fine placeholders so people can Google you and see that you exist. But for the most part, there's no benefit to your company webpage anymore. I've got an IDX search. Who cares? Everybody has so many different apps on their phones that they're using. Nobody is using your IDX search on your website.
Through your website? No.
Yeah, it's so that has run its course. So video is a huge thing for me. It's still at the top of my list on my business plan. And the live video is something that I've struggled kind of getting to start. So I love being part of your show and seeing how it's done and how it's done well. But even just doing short videos, I guess my goal moving forward for lead gen, I'm a big fan of building community. And it's a little bit more challenging here than it was for me in Gig Harbor, because Gig Harbor was a small resort town where every business was a locally owned business. I think we had a Starbucks, maybe 2 Starbucks in town, and everything else was locally owned coffee shops. All the banks were small, locally owned banks. We didn't have any big banks. All the art galleries, everything was locally owned. In this area, even in Ken Carroll, everything's chained. Everything's big. So it's a little harder to find the small local businesses, and they're still there. So my goal with the video is to help those small local business owners get a little bit of exposure by doing quick videos, whether it be at a CrossFit gym. And I don't do CrossFit. It takes one look at me to realize, no, he's not lifting a lot of weights. So these people, it's still going to these businesses, going to all the local schools and either interviewing a principal or a secretary or something and doing little 90-second, maybe 2-minute videos to lead into the community to make A, myself the expert, B, bring their business or their cause or their school some exposure, and C, just try to grab that. That's your connection. If you're talking to a business owner and doing a video, you don't think they're going to share that video with everybody on their social media? You don't think you're going to all of a sudden become their realtor of choice or lender of choice or whatever it is that you do? Those are my connections. I'm not the type of guy that can go and have 100 conversations in a week or in a day like some companies are teaching. I want to have 2 or 3 good conversations, and my goal is I want to know the people who know people. And so, the secretaries at my daughter's school, I bring them coffee once or twice a month. And
they know a lot of people.
They're amazing. They know all the kids and all the parents by name. And I want them to know me, and I want them to think of me when it comes to real estate. And the owner of the local coffee shop that I've kind of created as my office, our company, we're virtual. We don't have a bricks and mortar office, and so my day-to-day office is at a coffee shop. And the owners of that and the baristas there, the people who talk to people all day, they know me and they know what I do. And I try to serve them as much as I can, A, because it feels good, B, because it's the right thing to do, and C, because that's how I generate business. So moving forward, my lead generation plan isn't going to change. It is, again, whatever sales business you're a part of, it's a stupid, simple math equation. It's how many people are you talking to and how often do you talk to them. That's sales success, and it has never changed in the 16 years that I've been in it. So I'm still going to work on that. I am going to try to add in video. I am going to try to get a little bit more intentional with the businesses that I talk to and that I interview and be part of that. But for me, it's really building community and figuring out how can I serve the people in my community and help them grow. And then the law of reciprocity comes back on you. If you help somebody else's business grow, you don't even have to ask them. It's going to come back and help yours grow.
Probably twofold or tenfold. But absolutely true. So for those of you watching, there's no question that Matt's on a great track here going forward and self-admittedly behind the ball, as it were, when it comes to video. You guys heard him say he's been putting it off and putting it off. Live video in particular. For those of you watching, social media loves original organic content. Nothing more original or organic than live video. And a lot of the objections I get from coaching clients and people taking classes when it comes to the video is that they don't like the way that they sound or look on video. And I've got news for every one of you watching. That's how you sound and look. In person, on video, whatever the case may be. So do you want to do this kind of activity one-on-one, and you can and should, or do you want to do it 1,000-on-1 and really take advantage of the tools, all of them free, to enable you to really exercise some good content in your video? And what Matt had segued to that I think is also really, really important here is that he understands, he didn't say it exactly, but he understands that his job is to make sure that people know who he is and what he does. And like with the women that work in the office at his kid's school, they learn every so often a little bit about who Matt is. And he's certainly not keeping any secrets about what he does. So he's using that vehicle to build relationships, to stay top of mind. And I promise you, those kinds of activities, and guys, again, this is a career, not a job, a marathon, not a sprint, but those kinds of activities are going to pay dividends and lay the framework, the foundation for transactions that he is going to close next year, the year after, in 5, in 10, So really take that to heart, because those kinds of activities will be successful if you do them and keep doing them and so on. So, Matt, thank you. That was really brilliant stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And can we talk real quick about content?
Real quick, absolutely.
Super. So people, the biggest question I always get is, well, what do you talk about? What do you do? What do you blog about? Was always mine, because I wasn't doing videos. We see so many people sharing on Facebook. The Denver Post said this about real estate. People just share the Denver Post. Well, Remax or Sotheby's or somebody else bought an ad on there, so you're sharing somebody else's content with your competitor's ad there. Why don't you do a video or a blog about what you read, put it on yours, and then share that? Anything that you hear, if somebody asks you a question about the buying process, that's content for your next video or your next blog. And just start getting any conversations you have, any emails you would send, any posts that you would share, make that yours, make that original, and you can start sharing that and creating your own content that way. And to me, that's where the value comes in, is it makes you look like the expert instead of just sharing what somebody else did. And you're not plagiarizing what they did. You can give credit to the Denver Post if you want to, and still put your spin on it. And I think that's hugely important, and it works across any industry, and it's not difficult to do.
And for those of you watching, on the flip side of social media loving original and organic content, they abhor content that isn't. So if you are sharing that kind of content or copying and pasting that kind of content, not only is there a heavy weight in social media algorithms for how much time you're actually spending crafting your content, but it knows if you're just sharing, if you're blindly sharing. And those posts are not only getting suppressed so that fewer people in your audience see them, but it's also making an impact on the next post you're going to make that may very well be original or organic. So pay really close attention to that stuff. And for those of you watching, I'm sorry, I know we're running a little long, but I'm certainly going to want to make sure that those of you that are watching know how to reach out to Matt. So Matt, give us the highlights, your digits, your social media handles, your email, whatever's the best way to get in touch with you, man.
Yeah, sure. So email is pretty easy. It's just thompsonhomes@gmail.com. There's no P in Thompson, so just THOMSON homes@gmail. Twitter, easy to find me. It's just @Matt Thomson. And then Facebook, look up Matt Thomson, no P in there, and you should find me there. Same with LinkedIn. So it's I'm kind of plastered all over the place. Instagram, it's Matt Thomson Homes, and that is mostly just fun nature photos, not business photos. But,
the who you are, that's important.
That's the who I am. So yeah, easy to connect with me, and I love talking business. I love talking coaching. I love talking brokerage relationships and building brokerages, and so any of those things, I'm happy to chat through.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Jen, do you have anything you want to contribute or ask Matt about?
No, but thank you, Matt. This was great.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. And for those of you watching, thank you for tuning in, either live or in syndication. If you want more information about us, about Matt, about our show, if you'd like to be a guest on our show, if you want more information about our coaching program, if you want a copy of my book, Just the Tips, use that text code at the bottom of your screen. You can text TIPS to 63566, and it will ping you back all that stuff. Matt, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And again, for those of you watching, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.